7 things people do when they're about to stab you in the back. The person about to betray you is always wearing a mask. They aren't acting like an enemy right now. They're playing a part. They don't have villain written on their face, just a friendly smile. In fact, they're playing the part of your very best friend. They're checking in, being present in a way that feels incredibly genuine. And the scary part, most of the time that sincerity isn't faked. Betrayal never comes from a stranger. It comes from someone you trusted. It is the person you let in, the person who knows your secrets. That is exactly why, when the moment comes, the damage is fatal. And that moment is a lot closer than you think it is. Betrayal doesn't happen in a vacuum. It always leaves a trail. In the weeks before the line is crossed, there is a pattern. Most people miss the red flags because they're looking for an enemy. But the signs are coming from someone who still looks like a friend. There are 7 major warning signs you need to know. One of these is probably already happening in your life right now. Stick with me because the last sign is the easiest to ignore. The first sign is what I call the information harvest. Someone has suddenly become unusually interested in your business. Not in a warm way, but a targeted, deep dive prying. They're asking about your plans, your income, and your relationship drama. They want to know what you absolutely cannot afford to lose. Because they're asking with a smile, you give them the truth. Before a betrayal, there is research. They're mapping out your territory. They need to know where your weak points are and your leverage. They're eyeballing your prizes because those are the weapons they'll use. The warmth is fake. They just want your answers for later. Their questions are hyper-specific. They want details, not just vibes. Their interest spikes whenever you have something big at stake. After talking to them, you have a nagging vulnerability hangover. The second sign is the quiet audit of your entire life. They've started observing your routine from the sidelines, just watching. They're identifying the gaps, the moments when you have no backup. Betrayal is about timing. They wait for when you're isolated. This audit is them checking your defenses for a weak spot. They know things about your day that you don't remember telling. They seem unusually aware of your low points, or when you're struggling. They become hyper-attentive when something valuable about you becomes public. The third sign is what I call the record keeper. They remember everything, like they're building a dossier on your life. Every mistake, every failure, every private vent, it is all archived. They'll subtly drop a reference, just to remind you they have receipts. They're building leverage so they can justify the betrayal later. They need to paint you as the problem to look like victims. They bring up your past mistakes in completely irrelevant conversations. They remember your embarrassing moments more clearly than your wins. The moment you disagree, they stop talking about the actual issue. The fourth sign is the softening of your reputation. This is the backstabbing that happens before the actual strike. They aren't trashing your name yet, they're just planting seeds. They say they're worried about your judgment or your reliability. A betrayer needs an audience that will believe their lies. They're preconditioning people to doubt you before the hammer drops. People who were once warm are suddenly acting distant for no reason. You hear through the grapevine that they've been expressing concerns. They play the concerned friend role, never criticizing you directly. The fifth sign is the slow fade from your life. They're creating distance, and you're making excuses for them. The warmth becomes intermittent, and they're always too busy to talk. It is hard to betray someone you're close to. It hurts the conscience. They're distancing themselves emotionally so they can pull the trigger. The distance feels unearned. Nothing happened, but the vibe shifted. The coldness is consistent. It is not just a passing bad mood. Your gut tells you something is off, even when logic disagrees. The sixth sign is the sudden guilt offering. Out of nowhere, they become incredibly generous and kind to you. They're suddenly available 24/7, looking for ways to help. This is preemptive guilt management. It is not a change of heart. They're balancing their internal ledger by being extra nice now. It serves as a smokescreen to reset your trust quickly. The kindness feels unprovoked and has no clear trigger. The warmth feels performative, like they're trying way too hard. This honeymoon phase follows a period of distance or tension. The final sign is the total radio silence. Right before the hammer falls, they go completely dark. They take forever to text back and stop answering your calls. The prep work is done. The information has been harvested. They're simply removing themselves from the blast zone right now. They want to be far away when the betrayal finally lands. A sudden drop in communication that feels deliberate, not busy. They start avoiding face-to-face meetings at all costs. Your instinct has stopped making excuses and started ringing the alarm. The calm before the storm is actually the storm arriving. That sudden distance is the last thing that happens before impact. If these 7 signs are lighting up, stop gaslighting yourself. You aren't being paranoid, and they aren't just stressed. Trust your gut, believe what you see, not what they say. The person who trusts their instinct is the one who moves first. The person who doesn't gets left in the wreckage alone.